Okay, welcome to this new movement practice of the Tuesday morning. Today is the 7th of June 2022, and today we have movement practice number 7. And first of all, how are you all doing? If you're looking this live on Facebook, or also if you're looking at the recording, how are you? How was your week now? So this is one of the first questions that we can ask ourselves, and that is helping us to center and to start this first dialogue with ourselves. So this is one of the first practices that we can do. I want to do a little recap of what we've done till now, and then we will do the movement practice for this week, coming week. So we started with a practice that was about naming and welcoming. And we used also this practice also, let's say, it's an approach to the practice actually, and we are using it also during the other practices. So what does it mean? We see what's arising, which sensations are arising from the body. And we look at them, we give a name to them, and we welcome them. Then the next one was the second movement practice was about breath sensations and movement. So we were focusing on the breath, and with the breath, we were looking at the sensations that were arising, naming, welcoming, and then from there we were making a movement. Then we had the third one. We tried to bring attention to the, let's say, the outer part of our body and also to the inner part, but from a directional point of view. So bringing the attention on the front and in the back, on the side and on the length of our body. So head, length, till the feet. And the fourth practice was about boundaries. So we were exploring the skin and the sensations arising from the skin, for example, from the touch from between skin and clothes. And then we also try to really give a touch and to listen to the touch and to the sensations in the touch, and what was about the sensations of the skin of the arm, which was touched by the hand, or the sensations of the hand, which was touching the arm, or which was feeling touched by the arm. So different points of view to see how the sensations can arise. And this was to bring more awareness on our first boundary, which is the skin. Then we did a centering. Our fifth movement practice was a centering, and it's what we do usually, or what I do usually at the beginning of a coaching session. And it was about feeling the feet, feeling the head and the feet on the ground, and breathing out everything, relaxing the belly, relaxing the jaw and the tongue, asking how are you, and then going for the rest of the day. Last movement practice we did, it was focusing on feet, and we were starting with a little massage and caressing our feet, little massage, and then feeling the sensations of the feet on the ground, and then seeing how we can walk with them, bringing awareness to the feet and what's happening, which kind of sensations do we get. And if we are at home, we can also, instead of just walking, going further, we can also try to walk further and backwards and on the side and try to play with it a little bit. So these were our first 6 movement practices. I wanted to make a little recap because I think that somehow they are all connected to each other. And the first that we did, naming and welcoming, it's something that we are using often in the practices. And the breath is also part of it, and centering is useful during our day, and so on. So today we will focus on how can we center instead of bringing the attention inside, we bring the attention outside. So sometimes it can be a little bit overwhelming to bring always the attention inside, and sometimes it's also not so comfortable. Sometimes we really need to bring the attention outside. Yeah, we want to connect to the outer world. We want to connect to what's around us, and so we will do this practice now. So find a comfortable position. You can sit like I'm sitting, or you can also stand as you prefer. We will keep our eyes open today because we want to connect to the outer world and not to the inside, to the inner. So open eyes, feel your feet on the ground, breathe out. And we start our movement practice. The eyes are soft. Let's look around. So what do you have around you? You can also move your head if you want. You can keep your head straight and just move the eyes. We look around. What's around me? In the back, in the front, on the side, up, far from me, or near to me. So the side that we want to keep, how we want to look at things, is not something that has to look exactly at something. We don't want to focus on something and bring all our attention on the point, but we want to look at things as if they are part of a bigger panorama. We want to put the eyes as use the eyes as if they are passengers of a car. A car is going and our eyes are just passengers. They're sitting and looking around, but they're not focusing on something in particular, but they are letting the things be around without wanting to catch them and bring them inside. So this is the first thing. So we can start again. We look around. We can, and with this sensation of not wanting to catch inside anything, but being aware of what's around us. Maybe we will see things that we were forgetting that we have. With your own pace, you can change from one side to the other one, from one thing to the other one. Go where your curiosity brings you. And now stop your eyes where you feel more attracted at, like you see, I see now glitter in front of me, it's really attracting. But I try to look at it as not wanting to take it inside, but saying, okay, you are there, hello, glitter for me. which sensations do I feel looking at this object? I name them, welcome them, and you can also let them go, and you can breathe out while letting go. And then you can choose another object or another point where you want to focus. Again, sorry, you're not focusing on an object in particular, but you are stopping the eyes on something and you're trying to catch the, the characteristic of this object, but in its wholeness, not just little things about it, but as if it's a whole. And not wanting to take it inside, but really looking at it as something that is outside, standing there, has its own characteristics, personality, and from there, which kind of sensations do I get? Sometimes can be that we get emotions from it, or memories. That's also fine. Then as soon as possible, go back to the sensations. Or if it's difficult, you can name the characteristic of the object. Round, straight, thin, solid, brown, multicolor. Nice, stable, creative shape. And when you finish, you can say goodbye and go to the next one. And slowly, you can breathe it out, let it go, and slowly come to an end, and we come together again. There is already a question. So one moment that I go back to them, also to the live. So there is already one question, which is, okay, which is this a metaphor for keeping problems on the outside, not letting them inside you? Yeah, could also be a metaphor. Actually, it's a technique not to be overwhelmed by lots of sensations which are arising sometimes. So when we are, let's say, there are different possibilities. When we are in a difficult situation and going inside is bringing more overwhelming, bringing more problems. So I'm going inside, I'm experiencing a difficult situation, and if I go inside, and I can be difficult to detach from those. Detach is not the right word, but can be difficult to see at it objectively. And because maybe I'm in an emotional moment regarding this situation, objectiveness is not a point. There is no, I'm not objective, and I'm completely taken in the emotional moment. And one possibility, and also that I can get overwhelmed from all the sensations, all the emotions which are rising, and they are too much, and I'm in my emotional moment, let's say, can be useful to, instead of focusing inside, can be useful to focus on the outside. But again, if I look at the outside and I focus on something, that the focusing is like narrowing the possibility of seeing for me. So I just see one thing, and again can trigger again those sensations and emotions which are inside. Actually can trigger the emotions which are inside, and so can be difficult again. So I don't want to narrow my picture, I want to expand it. I want to be able to see this object, but this object is surrounded by all the other objects, which means that I don't look just to this, I let also the rest of the images to come inside. It's like if I look at in the front now and I move my hands on the sides, I should be able to see the hands moving even if I'm looking in the front. So the same is, I'm looking to an object, I don't focus just on this, I let it be as it is also with the rest of the surroundings, and so that I'm able to keep my visual not so narrow, but a bit more open. So this is yes, and yes can be a metaphor, but it's really a technique, really not to be overwhelmed sometimes by situations. It's another way of centering, but because for some people, depending on the moment, depending on the period, depending on the history, whatever, can be really too much to stay inside always. We need another possibility to center ourselves, and it's through the outside. And would be really great if we are able to center in nature, for example. Of course, it's not always possible. So if we are in nature, it's easier to center. It's easier to, we have wide, maybe wide panoramas, or even if we are in nature, but it's a closed ones anyway, the colors are helping usually to relax our nervous system, relax all the functions that are working inside of us. But sometimes it's not possible, and so we need this technique. Okay. So we did till now lots of, you're welcome. We did till now lots, okay, 6, and today is the 7th movement practice. We have lots of tools that we can pick from, and we would be able to create also our own practice. If you need to create your own practice, reach out and we can create it together. Regarding today, for this next week, this coming week, I suggest that you can that you decide when and how much, or let's say once in a day or twice in a day, you look around and you try to get the images that are around you, objects or nature, whatever is around, not getting them inside, but looking at how they are, naming the sensations which are rising and welcoming them. If there are emotions coming up, instead, it's better to bring the naming and welcoming to the characteristic of what we look, so that it's not so it's getting less personal, and we don't get overwhelmed again, but because the emotions can overwhelm. Sensations, it's different, and talking about characteristics, it's even less, let's say, personal. Yeah, okay. So for today, it's all. It's a short ones, and yeah, because we also need short ones, short movement practice that we can use during our day. And we see us the next Tuesday for the next movement practice at 8:30 in the morning. And who knows, there is also Embodiment Cafe on Monday, next Monday at 1:15 p.m. And I wish you a beautiful embodied week and a nice movement practice. And see you the next week. Bye bye. Ciao.